You thought the neighborhood kids were lying when they said the bodies were right around the corner, but there they were. Amidst the rubble of broken plaster and bricks, a dried line of blood streaked like a phantom ribbon directing you to them. The bodies. You didn't know where they began or ended, which piece belonged to who, were scattered indiscriminately. The other kids were too frightened. They ran. But you stayed. Something about this grotesquerie spoke to you. As you looked closer at this one man, his body, twisted, limbs shorn from bones, he had things protruding from him. Blades, like scythes coming from his mouth, his neck. The metals weren't stuck by conventional means. These pieces were ornamental. You go in for an even closer look, his eyes glazed over staring beyond you, and you hear it. Someone is here. A snap, followed by a piston's gaseous release. You realize this is a bad place to be alone, so you take flight, your feet barely touching the ground as you make way. A wall with the phrase "We will find you" scrawled in red serves as more than a warning. You remember why you came here, the decrepit landscape that housed a dark memory. Suddenly your body begins to feel light. Small tremors dance across your muscles. The world begins to get hazy. A dark miasma fills the time that begins to slow. You're falling into a past existence, one that isn't yours. It first flashes like bulbs popping in a lightless room. The boy, a punching bag of meat. When knuckles weren't enough for the tailor, his flesh would be found by scissors. First it was a nick here, then a small drag there. The blood would come in trickles, and on bad days a stream. This was penance for the mother no longer being around, a price the boy had no control over. He had to pay with his flesh. Day by day, if the boy had even walked strangely, the father would take to the blades, drag half an inch, to an inch. Slowly it escalated, the wound strategically placed to avoid detection. The boy would not cry though. This puzzled the father. The boy, bullied in school, showed no emotions. The bigger children toyed with him. This angered them to no end. Until one day, a scuffle had one of the bullies unraveling the boy's many layers of shirts. His body exposed like a meaty pincushion. Horrified, they ran and spread the word. That night the boy heard the knocks on his door from concerned adults. He hid in his closet, the voice of the father raising to the others. He knew something bad was going to happen. His secret was out. His shame would become worse. He endured the pain because he felt it was right. The small slashes on his body couldn't compare to the suffering of his father. But now the world knew, and it would punish the both of them. The voices hushed. A pair of footsteps around the house. Felt like forever in that darkness. A door slammed, his father's voice yelling, then nothing. A long silence, then the sound of his father's slow walk making the floorboards groan. That night the father dragged the boy into the basement. "I told you if they knew our secret, I will find you," he screamed. He went too far. The blood lapped the concrete ground. The next morning they found the boy's body riddled with every sharp object in the home. His flesh splayed in violence. The following week everyone who interacted with the boy or his father were mutilated. The bullies, the concerned adults. It was thought that the father had done it. His body was found hanging from the rafters of a nearby abandoned building, rotting long before the boy had taken his last breath. The people of the neighborhood were horrified by the events, even more so when the bodies of the father and the boy vanished. Time had moved on. No more was spoken of the incident. Back to the present. Your mind is lifted from the murky darkness. You look over your shoulder to empty space where the bodies were, the crimson stain all that is left. You hadn't noticed the moon has crept into the black sky. It was just daylight. Was there some shift in time you hadn't realized? How many hours have gone? It doesn't matter. You run. Feels like you're going against the waves, a heaviness in your legs, a dull itch in the back of your throat as you make it past the alleys in the slum. A weight crashes against your foot. The head of one of the other kids you came here with. His eyes snap towards you. His mouth unlocks. A blade begins to creep out. The kids rain from the sky. A red mist stains you. Their bodies fall in pieces on the ground, jagged metal jutting from their flesh. You look back and you see it. At first your mind can't comprehend what you're looking at. The creature with the blades. The boy. You run and the itch in your throat begins to hurt, the clang of the metal legs getting louder behind you. You round the corner, you see an exit, but suddenly it all goes black. The voice is halting at first. A boy, his words amplified by the metal clang. You know what happened to me? You mustn't know. No one should. Until we quiet it, I can never sleep. Until then, we will find you. The pressure in your throat becomes unbearable. You cough blood. A steady stream gushes in a pool before you. It falls from your open mouth. The moonlight beams through a broken window. The words bounce off the walls. Your jaw stretches in horrible pain. The blade begins to crack your teeth. The pain won't stop. And in the shadows, the boy watches you. We have found you.